my guest tonight from his covers of Shania Twain and Michael Jackson that legit set YouTube on fire, or from his own music he's been releasing since 2019, making his late night debut, please welcome Teddy Swims. What up?
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you know it.
Teddy, tell my audience, how did you start? What kind of music do you do? What's your vibe?
I kind of do a little bit of everything. It's quite confusing, man, because right before Teddy Swims was a thing, you know, I was in a bunch of different bands. I was playing anything I could. I just love playing music. Well, Teddy Swims kind of weirdly came about because it's just an acronym that stands for someone who isn't me sometimes.
And here you are. Now, you got famous off of your covers, which are amazing, but you're also a talented songwriter and you release original music. So be real with me, does the success of your covers make it difficult to release your own music?
Oh, absolutely. It's the scariest thing in the world to me. It kills me because I'm of course a perfectionist and I want what I love and what I do to be great. But then there's also this level of overthinking that you can do to something that I think all of us kind of do. And we also all hate our voice. I'm sure you watch this show back sometimes. You're like, is that how I talk? Is that the way I sound? Why'd I do that? And so I definitely, I covered some of the best songs on the planet, man. So it's so hard to write songs and put out songs and think that they have to be as good as those, because by saying that to myself, I compare myself to something that I feel like needs to be this level. And I think that's the biggest mistake any of us can make, is comparing ourselves to anything at all.
So do you feel like you want to do less covers because of that, or do you still really enjoy doing covers?
I definitely will always be doing some sort of playing a cover somewhere. You know what I mean? I'll never stop, but I never was intending on being a cover artist though on YouTube. I always was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to get locked in and be a cover artist forever type thing. But that was such a silly thought, because the greatest of all times were all cover artists as well,
Yeah,
So,
that's such an honest answer. And I totally relate to the fear of if I do something and it pops off, I have to keep doing that thing. But on the bright side, your thing was cover music. Some people out there are smashing their face against bread, and they got to keep doing that. You know what I mean?
That's so well said, yeah.
So it could be a lot different. You popped off on something that's pretty great. I want to talk about the fact that you have used your music over the past little bit to shine light on a lot of issues that challenge the Black community. Talk to me a little bit about that.
For me, I grew up in the South, and I grew up on Black culture and Black music. That the music that I cover and the music that I play is by Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, these incredible legacy artists that are Black figures. And the hardest thing for me in releasing the last song we did, Till I Change Your Mind, was trying to find a way to say it the right way and tell a story that I could tell, because I can't speak for somebody that is not this complexion, right? I can't tell anybody what they've gone through, and I can't tell their story. I wrote this song and just trying to tell people that I see around me in my hometown, just here where I was born and raised in Conyers, Georgia, about 30 minutes east of Atlanta, and small town. And where I grew up around me, I see those things happening all the time and being brushed under the rug. And I'm very, very glad about the pandemic for that reason, because it gave me a lot of time to sit and be in my hometown and think and realize what was happening around me, that this stuff is happening in small towns and being brushed under the rug. Nobody's been held accountable. Nothing's been said or done about it. And so if I could just do anything at all if my part can at least be to somebody, to say, just open your eyes, that's just why I'm very, very passionate about that.
Yeah, well, I love everything you just said, and I couldn't agree more. You bring up the pandemic, which is interesting because you have been doing your thing for a hot minute, but during the pandemic, you really kind of blew up, which I want to ask you is kind of a strange, interesting, bittersweet thing, because it's a pandemic where everyone's like, oh, F 2020, F this year, screw the pandemic, and you're like, actually, this has been great for my career. So how has it been having your kind of come up be in a year like we've had?
I'm super thankful that I've had my team, and we built this team, and we're able to to have something to sustain ourselves over this year. It's just given me a lot of time to like figure out what I want and what I want to use my platform to say and who I want to be.
Right, exactly. So fingers crossed, universe, hear me. Soonish, you'll be able to play your music in front of thousands of people at Las Vegas's Life is Beautiful. Fingers crossed that nothing goes wrong. But how are you ready? Are you nervous to be performing again in front of so many people?
Man, I like never ever get nervous, and right now with this, I am so terrified.
Really?
I'm freaked out, man. Because okay, so like my thing was when we were first touring, we were only playing to 300 to 700 people, and so halfway through that tour, I was like finally learning how to create atmosphere and know certain moments in the set that would really like get people sparked or like, oh man, maybe we should take that song out. It's not really going well here. And so what I'm so terrified of is our last show is a year and a half ago at 700 people to possibly 10 to 15,000. I don't know. There's no growth period to figure out how to work that crowd.
No, I totally get it, and you're absolutely right. I feel like artists, the average person doesn't consider that, I feel. They think an artist goes on stage, sings the songs, but there's so much more to stage performance than that.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's creating the moments. It's about what's gonna hit, what parts am I gonna repeat, what parts am I gonna engage the audience. It's about all of that type of stuff, and so I have no advice to give you.
Well, thanks, Lily. I appreciate that.
I have no advice to give you other than wishing you the best of luck. I hope you're enjoying season 2 of A Little Late with Lily Singh. If you're not sick of this face yet, go ahead and click subscribe right over there. Check out more clips just like this one right over there. And more importantly, have a great day. Bye!